All right, it says we're live. Hold on a second. It says we're live. Let me just double check.
I just shaved the whole thing off, man. I said, fuck all that shit.
Okay. And we got people in the house. What's up, everybody? It's Edwin back again for Strictly Comics. This is Freestyle Friday, episode 2. 2 weeks in a row. Hey, I'm getting pretty good at this, so maybe this could be a thing. With me is Jose from Comics and Stuff, aka Pressing Issues. Jose, say what's up, man.
On display, on display.
Jose is on display. First of all, I want to thank Jose for joining me. He's been in his cave with his markers and his digital markers and digital Crayola crayons, and just been locked away in hiding, doing things for the comic book industry and stuff like that, trying to enhance his skills. Yes. I assume.
Yes.
So
I'm back now. I'm back. I'm making my videos, and I even started the live shows. And you guys will be seeing me often now.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's start right there. Let us know everything that you're doing.
Right now, I'm twiddling my toes because they're cramped up, so I'm cracking all my toe knuckles. I'm doing videos. I'm gonna start doing video shoot. Your typical comic book YouTube videos as far as your hauls, this and that. I'm also started up my live show again. We're doing everything from artist reviews to the such. Edwin's gonna be joining in on once in a while whenever he's got some time to join up, or whenever his wife lets him hang out with the fellas. I'm just messing around with Edwin. So yeah, he'll be joining in, making some guest appearances on as a presenter as well. My show is gonna be every Saturday at 12 o'clock midday Eastern. I'm also gonna be doing a lot of where I won't be doing necessarily tutorials of it, but I will be doing live digital coloring of other artists' pencils. And while I'm doing the coloring on my Cintiq, I will be showcasing that on my YouTube channel as well. So I'm not necessarily going to get into tutorials, but as you're watching me digitally color pencils of other artists, you'll kind of get a feel of how to go about to color. So I'm excited about doing that as well. And I got some other things, I got some other things up my sleeves, but I'm, kind of putting the dots together and, making sure everything works good the way I planned it, so I can actually start doing it.
Okay. And then, I'm sitting here thinking, and, we haven't really done a chat, and it's got to have been over a year, man.
It's been
I don't know if you remember
time.
Justin and Rez were coming on regularly, and then we just kind of stopped. I can't remember why, but introduce us as far as you told us what you've been doing, but you're also a collector, and then you are a presser. We don't need to go into the details as far as the pressing, but
dude, if you guys know me, I've been pressing comics forever, dude, years upon years, and I'm always doing that on the side, man. So I've been busy with that. But you see, Edwin's learned how to press himself, so he's been doing it as well. So we're both pressers now, but yeah, I'm always pressing as well,
And I probably have you to thank for that, because just the constant talking about it. It's just one of those things, like the more you talk about it, the more you want to do it. And because you were on weekly with us, we always had something about pressing to talk about, and it was always motivational to me. Kind of like one of those things where you surround yourself around the people that you want to be like. Part of that. So
so we got two things from Edwin right now. I can start calling him Grasshopper because he learned how to press from me. And what else did he say? Being around people that you want to be like. So he wants to be like me. Is that what? No, I'm just not. I gotta be silly. I gotta be silly. Hey, so Edwin, a quick question. So you want me to grab the URL for this, right?
If you don't mind, please.
No, not at all. So I'm going to share it with some people, and also with the viewers too, man. I'm gonna post it in the chat room. So the more the merrier. Oh, I guess I'm not a moderator. So I'm not a moderator. So I won't
say something. Say something in the chat. Say something in the chat.
Something in the chat.
Yeah, just say something. You're on mute. Did you mute yourself?
Am I on mute?
No, I'm sorry. No. Okay, hold on.
On display. The first person who knows what I'm singing.
All right, so I made you a moderator. You should be good.
All right, I'm gonna put the link to quote unquote this live feed or live stream, and you guys feel free to share it as well. I'm gonna do the same because we got to show some support to the YouTube comic book creator community. Don't forget that.
All right, I'm finishing up with some talking points.
I'm also gonna check out the chat room while you're talking.
Go ahead.
You want me to just go ahead and chime in?
Yeah, who's in the chat?
All right, so we have NLC Productions. We have Mr. Unknown Comics Guy. We have the Great Legend coming to you live.
Legend in the house.
We got Comically Flawed. We have Joseph Stoner. We have Comically Flawed. We got Rag 718. 718, is that the area code for Queens, New York, Manhattan? We have a bunch of Comically Flawed in here. Man, I haven't heard or seen.
That's Adam.
Yeah, I know who it is. I haven't heard or seen from him. We have Red Beard. We have Vernon Johnson. We have comics. We got Gomez Comic Collector. So let's see what's going on here. What are they saying? So Legend subbing a bunch of people. Hey, you don't get to see Legend too much, man. That's a freaking legend. He's up in the chat room. We should feel honored and privileged. NLC Productions, thanks, man. He says he misses Jose's live stream. That would be yours truly's comics and stuff. In living color. All right, so testing. How is our video and audio looking? We'll ask the chat room. Edwin, you still there, brother?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry.
You sharing some of those links? Because I'm going to do the same for ya.
I am.
You know, I don't know if it's going off of my video. I think it's staying stuck on my video, Edwin, because I've seen my.
Yeah, because I got you presenting. I'm sorry. I'll take it off. You're right.
I mean,
okay.
Unless you want
I'm sorry. No. I just because it was before I made you moderator, I was trying to figure out how to get you to where it was working with you. So I just stuck it on you. So so we got quite a few people in the house. I want to thank everybody. So we don't want this show to go on too long. Let me go ahead and present my screen so that we can know kind of what we're talking about here. Because everybody who is on Facebook, social media, will know exactly what this is when I show it. This right here. If anybody knows, I'm pretty active when it comes to Facebook, social media, stuff like that. Hold on a second. So somebody put this on Instagram, and when I saw this, it made a lot of sense. For anybody who doesn't know, this is from a Ohio comic book store called Pack Rat Comics. I've never heard of them. Some people on Instagram have heard of them. They said they're a legit store. They're really cool people. Good comics, good deals, stuff like that. They posted this, and somehow, somebody just took the picture and used it. For anybody who doesn't know what this is about or what this says, he has a stack of comics here. Probably looks like about 100 books, man. And then he's got a note on the top, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see what he says. He says it's about $1,481 worth of comics. He says they were not picked up from our pull service in the last 3 months. And then he says the single biggest threat to your local comic shop is not digital comics, it's ordering books and not picking them up. When I saw this, it really spoke to me because we are getting into this whole digital age, and talking to, I think it was somebody from Aspen Comics, asking him about what's the percentage of sales of comic books digitally compared to hard copies. And he said that about 25%. When I heard that, I was like, wow, that's got to be kind of hitting the industry a little bit. But then when I seen this picture right here, Jose, I was like, whoa, I think this is hitting the industry a little bit more. Not maybe not necessarily the industry, but at least your comic shop, your local comic shop, which in turn will, in a way, hit the industry, because if people are constantly ordering books that they're not paying for, that can cause a shop to go under, man. Having
Indeed.
fewer books made available to people who want to read and maybe potential new comic book readers.
I agree, but you know, these are the questions that are coming up in my head right now. Okay, so he's got 3 months of comic books that have not been picked up. You figure it's roughly $1,500, right? Each month is, let's say, $500. Okay, now I wonder if that's a small percentage of his quote unquote customers. Is it a big portion? Obviously, we will never know by what he wrote on the thing. And if that's as much, well, I mean, if he's only making that $500 a month, you know, it's those questions come up. Is that a small portion of his pull list? You know, if it's complete.
Well, I'm looking at it again. It just says worth $1,500 worth of comic books and not picked up from our pull service. So from what I'm reading in this, it's probably a combined total, or just books for maybe a few subscribers that have not picked up their. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's from one person. That's not what I'm getting from this. So maybe a combined total of several people who have a pull service through this LCS that are not picking up their books.
Yeah, I don't think he's doing that bad though. You know, because if that was a substantial amount of money for him, I don't think he'd look too humored about it. You know, and from what I see from the back of the store, it looks like it's in pretty decent condition. But I agree with you. I mean, if the customers aren't picking up their pulls, that's gotta hurt the LCSs without a doubt. I totally agree. You know?
And what does a shop pay? About 50% of cover price, 40% maybe, depending on how much you order.
I'll go as far as 40%.
40%.
If they're a substantial LCS, I think the highest you can go is 40. You know, they're actually paying. So you figure if a book's worth $4, they're paying $1 for it. You know, no, not $1. They're paying a little over $1 for it. So,
yeah. So let's just say 50%. So he says it's about $1,500 worth, but the shop is paying about what, $750?
Exactly.
Just to have those books at their location.
Right.
So I don't know about you. Actually, I do know a little bit about you. You can let people know. I pick my books up weekly.
Right.
I may not read them every week, but I pick them up every week. And there's a couple of reasons. One, because I want to have whatever's hot that week in my hands. And I also know that I do help on my LCS when I keep my box empty every week. Now, you, Jose, how often do you get your books?
I've been frequenting my LCSs because I have 2 that I go to on the norm. I've been going every 2 weeks. Every time, every paycheck, because I get paid bi-weekly. So I'll go every 2 weeks. I did lose a pull subscription from one of my other ones because I took about 3 months. The only thing I was upset about was that they never sent the email or anything, you know, and I was just never had time to go. I'm being, you know, a father. I had too much responsibilities, but an email would have been nice. That would have been nice. And because when I went there, I was expecting to pick up, because every time I would go to that specific LCS, it would be roughly every month. So I was always excited to go because I knew I was going to get a nice bundle of books. So,
which leads me to the question, Jose, who's responsible? Is it the LCS? Or is it the collector?
Okay, this is the way I see this is the way I'm going to answer that question.
Okay.
It's my responsibility to go pick it up. But if you're gonna get rid of the books that I had in my box, which I was expecting to pick up, even if it was 2 months, and again, there should be a limit. I think 3 months is way too long. But just give me some kind of a heads up. Hey, just letting you know, 3 months, you got to your limit. We're gonna have to pull your books. And if they did that after the email, then it's my fault. I never responded. I never gave them the courtesy of letting them know what was my situation at the time. So it's kind of twofold, I guess. It's my responsibility, and it would be a nice courtesy on the LCS's part to give me a heads up. So, but yeah,
what you're saying is sometimes life can get in the way.
Absolutely.
And when life gets in the way, it's probably both people's accountable for a clear line of communication.
Yeah, but again, don't get me wrong. I kind of agree with what you're getting at. That it's my responsibility to pick it up as a collector. I totally agree with you there. But it would be a nice courtesy on the LCS's part, since I've already spent a handful of cash there, to give me a heads up. I might have had books there that I don't want to lose. So that so it's kind of, again, it goes both ways. But ultimately, I guess it's the collector's fault, but it'd be a nice courtesy on the LCS's part.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of comments. There's just too much for me to really keep up with, but I'm seeing a few like Joseph Stoner's like, can you prepay? We're going to talk about that a little bit. Mr. Unknowns asks, he says the communication has to be when the pull list is started. That's all, which I kind of agree. I mean, right from the beginning, there needs to be some kind of communication there.
Well, Unknown Comics says no. I guess he was referring to maybe it's not the LCS's responsibility, because he goes, they got to get X amount of books to get variants. And I guess you're right, Mr. Unknown. They have to purchase all these books to get variants. But I'll tell you one thing. Well, I guess if I'm thinking about what I'm going to say, and I'm probably putting on the brakes a bit, because they don't necessarily get to sell all the variants, but the ones that they do sell or they put up in eBay, we all know what that's about. They get a nice profit from those books as well. Yeah. Or when they claim that they had to send the variants somewhere to one of their sister companies. You ever hear that one? Yep. Yeah, we had to take those variants and send them to our sister shop.
It was only the most expensive ones.
Yeah, usually it's the Adam Hughes variants that everybody's trying to get, or
Right. So I'm going to share my screen one more time. Let's go ahead and see.
Do it.
Now, this is what I found to be interesting. I want everybody in chat, thank you so much for being here. Please chime in. I'm going to let everybody see what people were saying as they were commenting about this particular topic throughout the week.
Dude, it was crazy, man. Facebook. I could have stopped reading all the comics. There was so many.
There was a lot. So let's check this out. All right. So that's the main deal. Billy Oy Villegas says douchebags. referring to the people not picking up their books, and again, I don't think we got the full gist of the story, because I would say douchebags too if a dude had that many books and just never bothered to come get it. But like we discussed earlier, I think it's just an accumulation of many people who just did not pick up their books. John Wayne Bolton says, I made a deal with my comic shop because it's over an hour away and my work schedule was messed up. I asked if it would okay to come by every 3 to 5 months to get books. He said, no worries. You've always been a great customer. I had a stack like that many times, but definitely didn't pay that much for them. He never had a problem. And I'm grateful.
Let me chime into that, Edwin.
Go ahead.
Because I'm thinking either two things here. Either his J. Wayne Bolton's LCS shop already paid off the store and they don't care about profits. They don't have to worry about paying their rent. And or shit, man, they just make so much money that it doesn't matter. because he's talking about every 3 to 5 months to get his books, or he's got a really good rapport with, or he's the exception to the rule, maybe, you know, because that's 3 to 5 months worth of books, or he's probably got 1 or 2 titles. And
well, like you said, he made a deal. Like he was letting him know ahead of time. It was similar to what Mr. Unknown said, that the communication starts right when you create the pull list.
Hey, Rags718 wonders if you're going to post his comment.
Did he comment? Did he comment on the Facebook page?
Apparently. What do you go by? What's his name?
Yeah. What's your name, Rag, on Facebook?
Rag70. I'm the Rag718. What do you go by? What's your name? Yeah, Iconic Point says, Iconic Point has a good point. I would say good rapport, and probably buys big boy books when he is there. And that's the thing that got me with my LCS. I'm sorry to go off on a tangent here a bit, but that's what really got me upset, because every time I would show up, man, I had $200 or $300 worth of books I'm picking up. So, you know, it wasn't like I had only 1 or 2 titles in my pool. I had a substantial amount of things, but you know, I don't want to get into too much details of the LCS, because if they're ever watching, I don't want them to think I'm throwing them under the bus. So I'll leave it there as far as details about the LCS.
All right. Well, let's read a little bit more and see what the what everybody was saying, because some of these I actually found to be very interesting.
Have at it.
Mark Walter says, at the very least, there should be a mandatory restocking fee to prevent this from happening more. What do you think about that? A mandatory restocking fee?
Wow. That's I've never even thought about that, but
because like if you go to like Best Buy and let's say you buy a brand new computer and you don't want it after like a couple weeks, they're going to charge you a restocking fee. Now I know it's a major purchase, but should comic book shops do the same thing? Mandatory restocking fee?
Well, here's a couple of things that come to mind. Yeah, I agree with Mark. I mean, that will stop a lot of people from doing that. But can they enforce that? I mean, can they
a shop can do whatever they want. I mean, let's just go along with it. A regular book is about what, $4?
Yeah.
Let's say you do enforce that. What kind of restocking fee? What kind of percentage? Like 10%, 20%?
And then usually on their pull list, you're not asking but for a person's name and phone number. I just can't see how they would enforce that.
Yeah, and people are already chiming in. Iconic Point says that how would they enforce it? He also says he wouldn't come back.
Would never see the person again.
Yeah, Joseph Stoner says they'd kill the business.
Yeah, I think they probably know better than to do something like that. Maybe the LCS is. I don't know. I mean,
that would be a tough one, but it's a good point. I mean, it's, you know.
And the thing is, if you're the only LCS in a given amount of miles, then you could probably do something like that. But if you're not the only LCS in town, you probably won't be able to do something like that.
Hey, that's a really good point, man. If you're the only game in town, you can pretty much do whatever you want.
Do anything you want, you know.
Yep. Well, let's see what other people
come bring you coffee every morning for your for your new freaking Spider-Man.
Jay Wayne Bolden says letting a stack get that big without contacting is the LCS owner's fault.
That's a good point too.
Yeah, he says I've worked in comic shops. You have to communicate with customers, even good customers. That's all it takes. Pull pile starts getting uncomfortable. Let them know if they come in. Put half of it back. Communicate. Tell them it normally works. Every now and then you have a problem. I think he's right on, man. It's both parties' fault.
I agree.
But I work occasionally at a shop, and you know, dude, when I'm doing pull lists, I mean, sometimes because people don't come pick up their books, you're constantly have to shift these short boxes around because one will be so packed that you can't get any more in there. So you got to take them out and put them in the next one so that you can put the new books in that same box. And it's just gotten so hard at times, and I'm like, I'll contact the owner's wife and be like, hey, can we just take these ones that people aren't paying for, put them in their own short box so that we have more space, and she'll be cool with that.
But in all fairness, Edwin, I mean, whether the owner of the LCS is doing that himself or he's paying someone to do that, you know, I guess that's part of the, you know, part of business. You know, you got to, that's, if you're making profit, you know, from the books you're selling, then that should be minute, I guess. I mean, you're paying someone to do it. In your case, he's paying you to do it, and or he's doing it himself. He's the owner, so you know, it's part
Captain
of.
Jang says, look at the comic industry is just getting back on their feet. If it from taking a big hit, so no fees. That would be a good. No fees. That would be a good way to lose business. I'd agree with that. The movies are pretty much putting interest back again into the hobby.
You know, and you bring up a good point. You know, with how quote unquote LCSs are not doing well. You know, or is that still the case? Was that the case last quarter or the quarter before? Is that still the case where LCSs aren't doing that well? You know, then
I think shops are doing good. I think shops. I mean, I'm seeing more of them pop up. I mean, that's one thing.
Yeah,
I mean, Houston has about 16 shops now.
You might be seeing me popping up with an LCS very soon too, within the year. The way things, nice. What I'm planning on doing, brick and mortar and everything.
There you go. Let me do a couple more. Let me see here.
Who else we got? We got Captain Yanks. We have. What's up? What's up to everybody? Thanks for showing up, Captain Yanks and everybody else. So he you know, let's read what he just mentioned. Look, the comic industry is just getting back on their feet. It took a big hit,
that's the one I read.
So no fees. That would be. Oh, you read that one. My bad. So comically flawed. Adam says the owner should contact maybe to keep from getting several months out. But why is it the owner's job to get customers to take personal responsibility and do what they promised to do? I mean, I understand what you're saying, Adam, but at the same time, when a customer is spending money in your shop, it's called courtesy. You know, it's called good business. You know, hey, listen, hey Tom, I'm about to kill your books. I'm about to kill your pull if you can't show up this week or next week. And you give the customer a chance to respond. You give the customer an opportunity to say, hey, I'll make it there in the next paycheck, blah, blah, blah. I went through some hard times. I apologize, but I appreciate, as a customer myself, I appreciate the LCS for reaching out to me so much that I'd make it more of a point to get to the LCS and pick up my books that much sooner. You know, I appreciate the gesture.
Yeah, it goes back to communication, like they were talking about before.
And I agree. I guess what a lot of people saying, it's, you know, it hurts the LCS. Mr. Unknown Comic Guy. I agree. It does hurt the LCS. I'm just talking about courtesy towards customers that have spent money in your store. It's not, now if it's a new customer and he hasn't picked up his books in 2 to 3 months, yeah, heck yeah. But you know, if you've been frequenting this LCS and all of a sudden you come back one day and your books are gone, that's not good business, you know.
No, it ain't. Let's see what other people are saying about this topic, because like I said, there's some pretty interesting comments here. Again, it goes back. John Wayne Bolt says it's not their job to call you. It's your job to keep LCS informed. It's your responsibility to pick it up or let them know. Their responsibility is to pull if for you and not miss any issues. That's a good point too. Is like their responsibility is just to pull for you, not really to keep in contact with you, because once you make the agreement at the beginning, he's saying it's it's not their responsibility. It's your responsibility because you're the one that wants to go there and buy the comics.
Man, I'm gonna look up what's his name? Jay Walton Bolt. I bet you he's an LCS owner. Give me a break. Give me a second to check.
Well, these comments are over probably most commonly 3 Facebook pages. One is the most I got was from Nerds of Anarchy, which is a local Facebook page here in Houston. Gotcha. And I think the second most was from Comic Book Fanatics. So you have to go to Nerds of Anarchy and check them out because I think he's the one that commented this one right here.
Check out this guy's name, man. Comic Sniper. That's a pretty cool name. He just popped up in the chat room. Thanks for coming by, Nerdivision. Joseph Stoner hanging out still. Ooh, I thought I saw someone else come in here. I apologize, Edwin. I didn't mean to cut you off.
We just freestyling it.
Man, the chat room's popping, bro. Jeez, you should put some disco lights on or something in that chat room.
Get a notification every time somebody says something. Let me see here. Iconic Point says, or the LCS could invest in a service like Collector Core and have them pay for their books. So when they come in, they're paid for.
Well, here's a question. Here's a question to you, Edwin, and here's a question to the chat room. And I don't know the answer because I don't read every freaking line in the freaking pull list and some on the pull list agreement and or the LCS one of the LCSs that I go to pick up my books never had any type of agreement or it's something that I needed to fill out nor sign. Is that something that's provided in a pickup agreement that you have a month to pick up your? I mean, I've never heard anybody say, well, you know, this agreement said I didn't have to pick up if I didn't pick up my books within an amount of time, they would, you know, end it. Are you used to seeing stuff like that in an LCS agreement?
Well, and that's what I was going to eventually get to with the comments. We can talk about it now. When I first moved to Houston, the very first shop I created a pull list for was with DNA Comics. Very good comic shop. But the owner from Jump Street lets you know, he has you read over a type of policy and he asks that you sign it. And then he asks that you leave a debit or credit card number because after 30 days, if you don't pick up your books after a month, first they're going to call you. They're going to call you just to see what's going on. And if they don't get in touch with you, they're going to charge to your card of what's in your pull list. But I think what they do, hey, like, no, but here, hold on, Jose. Here's what they do. Like, let's say you just got your books from this week. They're not going to charge for that book. They're only going to charge for those books 30 days and older. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Hey, do you have the screen locked on the comment? Because I don't see it going back and forth. On display. Nobody's guessed where's that from. On display.
Right now it's on you.
Oh, it's on me? What's
right
up,
now it's on you.
YouTubers? This is your boy Comics and stuff. Damn, I haven't drank anything tonight either. But,
me neither.
I haven't had a drink in probably over a year, to be honest.
That's good, man.
Dude, all I do is go to work, come home, help my wife with the boys, and then once everybody's sleeping, including my wife, I'm in my freaking office in here with my comic books on my back and my face in front of my Cintiq freaking practicing coloring. I'm actually working on a 27-page book right now as we speak, which is pretty kick butt, and or doing press jobs for people. So that I haven't had time to have a social life. But you know, it's funny like because busy as comic books are a lot of people's social life, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean it in a good way.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Let me finish this because I actually think I'm almost done with this particular topic.
Ready for the world? No, Mr. Unknown Comic Guy, it isn't ready for the world. I'm sorry, Edward.
Actually, Jose, since you had talked about that, the very next comment says, I've never had over $1,000 in books waiting, though. Usually when you sign up, they write down your credit information and your address. So I assume at a certain threshold, they should charge you automatically. I've never had one get my credit card and address, phone. Yeah, and gotten calls and stuff like that, which goes back to what we had said earlier, that some shops will do that. Some shops will go out on a limb and try to get some kind of contact information from you because they don't want to be the ones holding the bag with all these unpaid books.
Right. Hey, you know, anything that you put your signature to or on is a contract.
Yeah, and it might not be legally binding, but there's at least some kind of moral.
No. On the contrary, Edwin, anything that you sign is a legal binding contract. If you sign it and you agree to the terms on that paper, you best believe that's a contract. Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe even in a civil case, a judge would look at that and say, "Did you sign this?" Yeah.
Then it's a contract.
Yeah, I could go with that.
Absolutely. Anything that you put your signature to and you agree upon the terms of what you signed, it's a contract. So that's what I was thinking about while you were reading. I was like, well, if they put it on paper and you agreed upon it, then you're liable to it.
I could go with that. Carlos Olid says, "Live and learn." I think a lot of companies start out wanting to be the nice guy and want to take people at their word. Then you realize there's a whole lot of shisty nerds out there that buy with their eyes instead of their wallets.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have we bought with our eyes? Our eyes have gotten bigger than our wallets.
Dude, I mean, I buy books just for the covers all the time. That's pretty much buying with your eyes.
Uh-huh.
How many books have I don't know anything about it? I just buy because I love art. I love art on covers. I mean, I've had this conversation many times before on my channel. I'm first about the art, and then I'm about the writing. You know, others are writing first and then art. I've always been about the art first. So many times I'll buy with my eyes for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right. Carlos says he can't trust anyone.
You can't what?
Can't trust anyone.
Absolutely, and especially not comic book collectors. They're the worst.
All right. I think we'll wrap this up. This particular topic.
No, this is going good, man. Keep it going.
Actually, let me see here. That's not what I was looking for. He says, okay, he says, I though have a subscription online, and they charge as soon as the book arrived and place it in my box, and they would ship at the end of the month. So kind of like what's that big shop in New York?
Midtown.
Kind of like how Midtown does. They'll charge you and ship all your stuff out at the end of the month. There
you go. That'll be a good way to resolve the issue if it's happening a lot in your LCS. Say, hey, you know, I charge you as soon as I put the book in your pool. There you go. That ends the issue. They can come back in 2 years. It doesn't matter anymore because they already paid for it.
Yeah. And you're not going to see my reply, but I had replied back, I think once or twice, to a couple of people that my shop just started this year 25% off anything new that you order, whether it be from previews or anything that they got coming out. If you pay for it right then and there, you get 25%. So even if you could pay for your whole pull list each week, every month, whatever, and automatically you just get 25% off everything, which I think is a really good deal.
That is.
Yep. Because I mean, think about it. Most people, they only get like 10, maybe 15% off their pull list whenever they sign up for a pull list. But to give 25% off, that's pretty significant in my opinion. I don't know any shop that would do something like that.
Here's another way of doing it too. I've seen a lot of online stores, I guess starting off, where you can quote unquote have a subscription as far as, okay, you start your subscription with $100 or $200, and whatever books you want, you put in the request, and once you use up your $200 or whatever, then they ship out your books. So you already gave.
You're not the first person that has told me that idea.
Right. So you,
but then it goes back. But how many people who buy books and are living paycheck to paycheck, week to week? And look, I'm not going to tell people what to do with their money, but let's just be honest. There's a lot of people out there that are buying books that probably don't even need to be buying books. It's that crack. It's that addiction.
I agree.
To us. Like, I mean, how many times we bought something? It's like, man, do I put gas in the car or do I get these books? You know what I'm saying?
Do I pay my kid's doctor bill or do I buy this freaking Art Germ freaking Batgirl book or whatever?
Right?
Supergirl book. What do we got going on up in here? What is Jason talking about? I've been seeing Jason talking about that. Is comically flawed? I mean, unknown comics, freaking comics and stuff, or vice. What the hell did Jason drink tonight, man? He's been drinking that freaking crap, man.
Iconic Point says he keeps the most valuable books behind the toilet in Mylar. No one looks there.
Dude, what the? Jason is smoking some crazy shit tonight. Do you see the stuff he's saying?
Oh, he says we're on Facebook, so you must have put it on. He must be watching what you put on.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, probably. So, okay.
Oh my goodness. What are you smoking, dude? What?
All right. Now check this out, Jose.
Talk to me.
Randy Patty, he just opened up a new shop here in Houston. Actually opened up today, believe it or not. He says he can't do that. Most people commenting on this thread have no idea how a shop is run and how the ordering process is done. This isn't the shop owner's fault. It's the flaky, selfish people's fault that do this all over the country. Every shop I've ever been to has this problem. If they don't have a one-sheet contract they ask you to sign, and even then sometimes it gets pretty bad. And I don't think I got the other half of this, but he had a second part to this, which was talking about books ain't the only thing that the shop is responsible for buying for. They get all your bags, they get all your boards, they get all the supplies and stuff like that, which also costs money. And so that was the other half of his kind of whole spiel of this. But you're getting right there a perspective from a shop owner.
And again, I agree. I mean, it's pretty shitty on the collector's part if they're not picking up their books. Here's a good analogy. Like whenever you see someone claim that somebody's a scammer on these auctions, or when they buy books, or they outbid someone else. Joe outbidded Tom for Amazing Fantasy 15. Well, Joe never freaking paid the auctioneer for Amazing, and it's like, I understand. It's like, hey, if you're gonna commit to purchasing something, purchase it, because the only one losing out is the shop owner in this case. They're losing money. I totally agree. I'm just talking about courtesy if you're gonna end my pull and get rid of everything that I thought was in my box, just a courtesy. Say, hey, Jose, we're about to kill your books, your pull list, and take everything that was in your box out. And now if I never respond to you, then it's shame on me. But it's just I'm just referring to more of just courtesy. But I agree. I mean, these shop owners, they are holding off selling these books to you, putting them all in a box. Yeah, it's pretty shitty as a collector of the collector not to pick up their books. I agree totally.
Yeah. So I guess in the long run, what we're saying, everybody, is if you commit to a pull list, please pick up your books, okay? In a way, it is let's just say this: we can't really say that the shop is completely responsible, that the collector is completely responsible. You're responsible for what you need to be responsible for, and if you can make a commitment to get a pull list, please pick up those books. And if you don't want those books anymore, be courteous, like Jose says, and call the shop ahead of time and let them know, hey, this is going to be the last month that I get this book. After this month, please quit putting it in my box. And if they continue to put it in, that's on them. That's when you take it out and you go put it right back on the rack. instead of paying for it.
Yeah.
So, got anything? Any last words you got to say about this particular topic?
Well, and then what? Then they put the books. They try to sell. I mean, at that point, they can't get the same price that book value for the book anymore. I mean, after 3 months, it's still a $3.99 book is still going to be able to sell for $3.99. Now, are you going to have a market of people still looking for that book? Who knows?
Yeah.
That's my last chime in on that.
All right. In the words of Mr. Unknown Comic Guys, stop being an idiot. All right. The other half of this show, and I don't know how long we're going to go on, but I do want to talk about it. Comic book grading. Kudos to the great legend. I was watching him. I don't know if it was last night or the night before. The great legend.
Who's legend?
He kind of put some things into my head and things that I don't always take into consideration whenever I'm doing videos. One of the things he talked about is you get a lot of people that don't even know comic books that watch our videos. All of our videos, to be honest with you, because some of the most popular watched videos that I see are how to collect comics, how to bag and board, what comics to read, what comics to buy, who's got the good, who's got the best artists, blase. So it kind of reminded me to just maybe kind of go back to the basics a little bit about things, because the longer you're into this and the more you collect and the more you learn, the deeper you can get into this whole, like you start getting into pressing, you start getting into CGCing and slabbing and stuff like that. That to me, that's kind of a deeper level of the whole collecting side of this hobby. But let's go back to the basics a little bit. What about what do you do when it comes to grading books, Jose? Like, what's one of the first things that you've learned or that you kind of go to when it comes to grading? Because let's just be honest, it's important to know how to grade comic books, right?
Absolutely.
Especially if you're getting into the whole slabbing part of it or pressing, you got to know how to grade comic books. ETA Nick talks about this all the time.
First and foremost, you ready, Edwin?
I'm ready, man.
Is the display on me? The camera on display? On display?
Yes, it is.
On display. So first and foremost, if you really want to up your grading game, if you're into speculation and all of the above, and if you like flipping books, whatever you like buying and selling, I think everyone should get one of these bad boys, the Overstreet Guide to Grading Comics. I actually always keep it in my back here, my backpack here with my laptop, and you never know. I mean, there's stuff in here that I wasn't aware of, what qualifies of a certain grade that I thought would never be the criteria for a specific grade. And then and lo and behold, it was allowed in a specific, especially like an 8.5. Where
now since you bring that book up, let's just be clear, that's the newest revised version.
I want to say
the only difference, that's like a 2015, I think, maybe 2016. The only difference with that book,
right,
from the last one is it's just bigger, because the last one was much smaller. Right.
Agreed.
So either one is good. And I think that book is still like a $25 or $30 book on eBay.
Actually, yeah, I paid 25. It was $24.95. I probably paid like 20 or 15 for it.
Adam says he thinks he's a pretty good as in the 8.0 and up range. He says he really struggles in the mid-grade, say 3 to 6. Adam, it's funny you say that, because I had a conversation with one of the CBCS workers about stuff like that, and I was right there with you, Adam. Their opinion on that is that it's actually easier to grade lower grade stuff than it is higher grade stuff. Like somebody could throw a rag in front of me, a 2.0, I can look at it and just almost immediately like, man, that's a 2.0.
See, I'm like Adam. I could easily grade 5s and up. I'm close with 5s and up. Yeah, you figure 6 and up, 5, that range, mid grade and higher. I'm good at. But
okay, so yeah.
So I mean, how do you go about grading a book? I mean, I think we're going to probably touch upon the same thing, both of us.
Well, before I get into that, let me just say what Nerd Vision says. He says when it comes to grading, he uses the number system rather than the condition system, like very fine, fine, near mint, etc. I use both.
I use both. I use both.
Yeah, but I gotta admit though, I'm not completely well versed as far as saying, like, I can say like an 8.5 is very fine plus,
Right.
8.0 is very fine, and then up. The 6.5 I think is, what is that, fine plus fine?
Something, yeah,
Yeah, something like that. So putting those mid numbers with condition, I'm still learning, but I think using both, and here's why. I think the whole numbering system is more of a newer thing. I think the condition system is more of an old school way of describing the condition of a book, because it wasn't until Slab, CGC, etc. came along that people are like, oh, that's a 5.0, or oh, that's a 7.5, or whatever the case may be.
right.
So I think just to further enhance your knowledge, I think you need to learn both. I mean, it just makes you that much more. Let's just say this: the Bible says that study to show yourself approved, right? I think that the same thing could apply when it comes to comics, especially grading, because if I'm going to buy something from Jose and he knows the condition,
you know you're getting the best deal from me.
No, but let's say he knows the condition of a book, but I'm not well versed as far as a particular condition. I don't want to get ripped off. I don't want Jose to rip me off. I'm not saying that he will, but I'm just saying I don't want to get ripped off. So it's better for me to kind of educate myself on grading before I go into buying something. Well, because you will get there are people that are out there that will rip you off.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you have to be well versed as a buyer, and you need to be well versed as a seller, because you could end up selling a freaking book that's easy 9.8 and you're thinking, oh, it's probably a 7.5, and shame on you as a seller. So it goes both ways. To answer who asked about, was this an Atari Force in the book? Who just asked that? Go ahead, Edwin. Keep on, man. I don't want you to lose your train of thought.
Oh no, I'm looking at what everybody's saying. Everybody's kind of
Joseph Stoner. Was that an Atari Force? And I skimmed through it real quick and I found it. Yeah, it was an Atari Force. I actually have this Atari Force in my collection.
Yep. Oh, he was talking about one of the
there you go, Atari Force.
One of the pictures were.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
For a 9.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man.
There's all kind of books. There's all kind of books that grading guide shows. Modern stuff, Silver Age stuff, Golden Age stuff, Bronze, Copper. It's all across the board.
All across.
Mm-hmm. But it's definitely a great resource, and if anybody who's watched my videos long enough, they know that I've preached that book definitely many times.
This is definitely worth the money. If you're gonna need to know a grade of a book, either if you're selling or buying, then this is very handy to have. Absolutely.
Yeah. So speaking of which, what's the first thing you go to? Before you answer, I could tell you what I do, and I think you might agree. I go to the spine. That's like the very first. That's from the top to the bottom of the spine. That's the first thing I go to.
Absolutely. I think everybody who grades books or tries to grade books, that's one of the first things they check. And of course, the corners, how tight the corners are, and along the edges of the pages. But opening up the page to centerfold as well, you want to check that. Check all of that stuff. I even check the quality of the paper, if it's brittle or
to that browning,
the quality of the page and everything, and the coloring, or discolorization of it.
Comic Sniper says Overstreet is not the Bible. Hey, Comic Sniper, I would agree with that, but it's just another tool. It's just another tool to help you with kind of refining your grading skills. I absolutely agree. It is not the Bible. Grading is subjective. Like everybody says, it's not a perfect science, but it does help you become a better grader. One of the things I think everybody can agree, and I would like to hear this from the chat, is how many times have you looked to buy something, and you, Jose included, how many times have you looked to buy something and they only show a picture of the front cover?
I hate that.
I mean, isn't the back just as important as the front? I mean, that's what I would think.
Very much so. I mean, the back could kill a grade altogether by itself,
The back could be ripped in half,
and you'll never know.
and the front looks gorgeous. And he's like, "Oh, it's a 9.0," and then you
Yeah,
get that book.
but then can you blame him? He can always come back and say, "Hey, well, you know, I put in the description that I'm not officially a grader, or this is my honest opinion." You know, he could always claim that. You know, and a lot of people will say that in the description. I'm not a professional grader. This is my opinion. Blah 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 blah. Well, I thought if the back cover was ripped in half, it still would fall in the 9.2 range. You know, it's like they could always claim that. Show the back, show the front, the back, and at least the centerfold. That's whenever I sell a book online, the front, the back, and the centerfold are always shown. I even go in real close on each of the four corners.
Yeah, and as I mean, it's just good customer service in my opinion to do stuff like that. I tell people when they don't have a picture of the back, I hit them up and say, "Hey, you're only showing me 50% of a product, 50% of a particular item. Where's the other half of it?" And then that's when, for the most part, they will send me a picture of the back or revise their listing with a picture of the back.
So send them half up front.
Redbeard's in the house. He says he hates that. He says he messaged a guy on eBay and he said he doesn't take photos of the backs of books if they are $10 or less. So that's kind of interesting.
He also brings up a good point. He goes, those disclaimers don't matter. eBay will always side with the buyer. That's also the case with PayPal. I lost $400 on a 251 that I sold someone. It was graded at a 4.0. I sold it to someone over in Australia. Now, I did not know at the time, if you do not put insurance on if a buyer doesn't ask for me to put insurance on his purchase, you know, hey. But what I didn't know at the time, if you don't put insurance on, they stop tracking your product or your package after it leaves the States. So
it only goes so far, with the tracking. I know you got the customs forms that you have to fill out.
So once I filled out all the custom forms. I did all of that. So once it left Miami, which was the last stop in the States, it was no longer tracked. I know this effort got the book eventually, but he's like, I just saved me $400. I got that refund, and I got this freaking Batman 251. I think I just said 251, a Batman 251. You know, so it was a learning experience.
Yeah, and that leads to another question. I mean, should you like just throw insurance on anything that's like $100 or more? Or
but then one of the things as a seller are losing money. You know.
Well, yeah, I mean, but like for instance, I sold just a month ago. I sold two big pieces. I sold a piece of art. I don't know if you guys remember. I had that Spider-Man art in the background. It was the Spider-Verse. It had like 5 Spider-Man. I actually sold that page on eBay, and because it was such a expensive piece, I didn't have to, but I went ahead and put insurance on that piece because I don't want anything to happen to it. I mean, because I sold it for about a little over $400,
right?
So I wasn't going to take a chance. And
then you were covering yourself just in case, you know.
Well, I was covering myself,
right?
But the same week, I sold Amazing Spider-Man 344. It was a CDC 9.8. It was the first Cletus Cassidy and first Cardiac. I only sold it for like $140. But I still went ahead and just threw insurance on it just in case. And I didn't lose any money because I still charged like $14 to ship the book, even though once it got into a priority box, I think it was like 10 or 11 bucks after putting insurance on it and stuff like that. So I really didn't lose anything, if at all. But I was just covering my own bases. So I had to kind of throw insurance on there because you do hear some horror stories, man, and you don't want anything to happen to your book or your money.
Okay. So I agree with what you're saying. I mean, as a seller, you still have to, you know, you have to protect your money as well from what you're getting from your product. In this case, comic book. But I would put that on the buyers. If I was the seller and I'm selling, like I sold that book for 400, actually it was 450. And you know, now what I know now, I would tell this, hey, listen, you know what? This is my past experience with someone out of America. This is what happened to me. I not only lost $450, I lost a book that's sought out by many a collector. I mean, Batman 251, who doesn't want that book? And so I'm out 251. I still got my copy of 251. But 9.2 signed by Neil Adams. I have that bad boy over there. But I would tell the buyer, hey, listen, this is what I'm gonna do, and what, you know, if you agree upon it, then we can go continue with the transaction. But I'm gonna have to charge you extra for insuring your package. You know, it's up to you to agree upon it or not. I mean,
well, people also throw it in there as an option to add to your shipping costs to get the item to the buyer, and most people obviously don't, because they want to get whatever they're buying as cheap as possible. But I do see a lot of sellers just have it on there as just extra insurance for the buyer.
Right. And you know, but it's insurance. It ultimately is insurance for both the buyer and the seller. You know,
yeah.
I'd even go as far as saying, you know, if somebody comes back and says, "Well, I'm not going to pay an extra $100 for the book," I'm like, okay, so meet me in the middle. I'll pay $50. You pay $50, and we're both happy. We both got you. You are insured getting your package, and I'm insured that you're gonna get the package, and you're not gonna come and rebut. You're gonna go send a claim to PayPal, and I lost my money. PayPal was not even having it. They were like, well, he didn't get his book. You know, he claimed he didn't get the book, but you know, fuck it. Excuse my friend.
Want to give a shout out to Call on Bases in the house, Redbeard, Comic Sniper, Seeking Near Men decided to stop by. He says he puts anything over $50, he adds insurance on it just to protect himself. Smart.
Yeah, but do you see what he says afterwards? You know, there are people can be scamming every day, man. People are ruthless, man. People are ruthless. Yeah. And you know, you could be honest. You could be a very honest person. This is what I tell people all the time. Here's a great analogy. Just because you don't eat the lion, don't mean the lion won't eat you. In other words, you could be the most honest person. You could have the best intent always. That doesn't mean everybody's going to have the same mindset. So you got to cover your ass.
That's true. And we don't need to keep going on about this, but there's one other thing that I wanted to mention. And as a matter of fact, Seeking Near Men just said what I was about to say. You can also try signature confirmation, because that you do have tracking number, but the signature says that the person got it and signed for it.
Dude, I had this one customer that I used to press for him solely. I was his sole presser. Well, he had me and someone else pressing for him. So it was between me and this other person that always did. He had high dollar books, man. And every time he shipped me his books to press, he had that signature confirmation. He wasn't playing.
You're smart. Yeah. Yeah, you can't play. Look, man, you can't play with money. You start messing with folks' money, man. Just like what they say. Not Smokey. Big Perm. What Big Perm say? Smokey. You start messing with my money, man. It's like messing with my emotions.
And that gets me very emotional.
Right. So
my money on my mind on my money and my money on my mind.
Right. So a lot of activity going on in the chat. Definitely a topic that I think everybody can relate to. But I agree with what Seeking Near Men said. It's just it's just about being honest. I mean, because first of all, you can't be an established buyer constantly screwing people over, because you're gonna eventually get caught, and people are gonna talk about you in the community, and I think it's gonna get around to the point to where people aren't gonna buy from you, or aren't gonna sell to you, because that's one of the things I've noticed in the comic book community is just a lot of communicating back and forth on social media and stuff like that. I mean, God forbid you be an Instagrammer and you start selling books and you're screwing people over. Word gets around really, really quick, and you'll end up having to delete your account and create another one because nobody's going to buy or sell to you.
Yeah, but that's exactly what people do, man. You'd be amazed. They build a rapport within these groups, and then they scam everybody. They scam everybody. I'm talking about, hey, you know, they scam people claiming they're gonna trade a big book with them. They scam everybody saying they're gonna buy this book, or so many things, and they do that. They'll go there. I mean, these professional scammers, man, they do this in their sleep, and they'll go to, and once they lose their credibility, they just go into another group. Little by little, they start building up, you know, the trust of other people, obviously with a different profile altogether. And then little by little, I mean, they'll take their time. They'll be there a couple of months, blah blah blah, build a rapport with everybody, and boom, scamming everybody. It happens all the time in Facebook.
It's funny how we talked about grading, and then we ended up getting into buying and selling and getting scammed on eBay. But that's why we call it Freestyle Friday, because we're just freestyling here, and sometimes we go down a couple rabbit trails.
Hey Edwin, can I chime in real quick with something?
Yes, sir, you can.
Hey, that guy from Australia, man, he got me good with that 251, right? But
yeah.
he didn't. You got me on the screen because I wanted the chat room to see what I'm talking
You're
about.
You're there. That's all you, man. That's all you.
He probably got me with that my 251 Batman, but he didn't get this one from me. No. He couldn't get this one from me though.
That's not the double cover, is it?
No, the double cover is over there too. I'll do like ETA Nick when he puts a slab on his shoulder and he's like this. He couldn't get this. Nobody's gonna get this one from me. Hold
up. What number is that? Batman 252?
251. 252 is the one I got over there. It's double cover. I'll go get that one.
That's 251.
This one's 251. The iconic Neil Adams cover. When Joker got really dark and crazy. Real
that's dark. When he started getting dark and crazy.
Oh, that's when he's known for getting really dark and crazy.
Well, since Jose did that, let's mix in. Yeah, no, I'm about to. We're gonna mix in a little bit of GPA Saturday up in here. Let's see what that. Let's get a little GPA action going on right here. Batman 251. That's a nice book, man. That's a book that I think everybody wants to have or hope to have one day.
I got a funny story about 251 in a second. I can't find my 252. Where the hell's my
9.2 signature series, Neil Adams. Dang, Jose, that's a killer book, bro. That's a big money book right there, man.
At least a grand, right?
Dude, you know what GPA is on that?
Like 15 or 1800.
Well, that's about 1200.
That's it. Fuck that shit, man.
It's hey, but guess what it was in 2013? It's like a $400 book.
Damn.
So you've tripled your value over the past 5 years?
Damn, Skippy.
That's what's up, man. Shoot.
I didn't. Dude, not only did I triple my money, dude, I've had that book since I was a teenager in New York. I probably paid 20 cents for it.
Oh, you got guys bidding for it in the chat, Jose.
How much? What do we got? Where are we at now?
I see a $2 bid.
$2? All right, keep it going. $2 going once, $2 going twice. Not sold to the man in.
I know, right?
I can't find my 252. I got it somewhere hidden. I can't find my 252. What? You want to pay me $2 for this? Let's do it, ETA. If ETA watches,
you think you could probably look at it? You can look at it for $2.
Yeah, you can look at
Hold it, maybe.
You can hold it. You can smell it for $2. I'll let you smell it for $2.50.
I'll tell you what, though, man. Congratulations. That's a good book to have, man. Nothing wrong with having a killer book like that in your collection. A baby, I guess you could say.
That's, There's been many a times where wifey and I needed some cash, and I'll tell her, hey, hun, don't worry, I'll sell some of my good books, and she knows she'll know when I just say the number which book I'm referring to.
Mm-hmm.
And 251 has been mentioned many a times. She goes, no, you put 251 back on the shelf, we'll figure it out. And every time she tells me that, we figure it out.
Wow.
And I have yet.
She knows how important it is to you.
Oh yeah, she knows. She knows either that or because she knows it's going to go to my sons, and they're going to profit off it. That's their college.
Mr. Unknown asked a question, which going back to the grading, what's wrong with that book to give it a 9.2?
I want to say, oh shit,
9.2 is still a very high grade.
I see two ticks on the spine as we speak, maybe even 3. So right there, it can't be more than a 9.4. And
did you press that book before you got it slabbed?
Believe it or not, dude, when I first started pressing, this was one of the books I pressed. And it's funny because it came up in conversation. Actually, I posted this on my Facebook page. And one of the guys was like, hey, did you press that book yourself or not? And I was like, yeah, I pressed it. And this was one of the maybe first 10 books that I ever pressed. Yes, a 251.
You got anxious. Yeah, you're like me.
Yeah. Because
I started pressing X-Men 94s and 95s.
And I probably would have held off and took a little more time pressing it, but Neil Adams was going to be at this convention, and who was that? Who was the one who used to facilitate signatures back in the day before Mark Ramon was the guy right before him?
Mark Roman? I don't know, man.
Mark Roman. And he was going to facilitate Neil's signature. So I did it real quick. And but yeah, I already could see how it could never be more than that, because it does have like 3 ticks on there. So what? 2, 4, 6. It could never be more than a 9.4. Well, every tick is at least a 0.2 when it's over 9. You know, so
it's still a very, very high grade. But let's just be honest. I'm looking at GPA right now, Jose.
Yes, sir. No. I'd rather you lie to me.
No. I mean, let me tell you, you'll feel better. GPA on that book. Well, let's just say this: the last one hasn't sold since May of 2015.
Right.
So it's been almost 3 years. But as of yet, I don't think anybody would sell it at GPA.
Because everybody got their copies, and they're now the only things you see out there are the raw copies.
Yeah. But as of yet, a 9.4 signed by Neil Adams, it's about a $1,250 book. So there's only like a $60 difference, but because that GPA data was 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
It'll probably sell for more, but but today it's only a $60 difference.
Right. So Adam mentions that he goes, maybe I'm too harsh, but color breaking tick equals 9.0 instantly. Actually, you're right and you're wrong, because for every color breaking tick, they take off a 0.2. Now, Seeking Immigrant Comics says right after him, it has more than one. If it has more than 3 color breaking spine tick, it is a 9.4, 9.2. I agree with Seeking Immigrant. So it's every tick is quote unquote a 0.2 from 9.8. Obviously, it'll never be a 10.
See, I don't know. I mean,
Joseph Stoner says the last sale of the 251 was from Australia.
No way, dude.
Oh, mother. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Sorry, Edwin. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Man. You're good, man. You're good. Wow. All right. So we got about 5 minutes left.
That's it. Damn, this shit was like, it feels like
we can keep going if y'all want to. We keep going. I mean, I just, hey, how much time you got, man? I mean, you tell me how much time you got.
I'm not going nowhere, man. It's Friday night. I just got picked.
All right. Well, then let's get into another topic that I want to talk about, because this is new to me. It's something that I've been seeing that's new in the community, at least new to me, and from what I've been seeing.
Right.
Buying and selling on unprotected social media sites. What do I mean by that? I mean,
on the dark web?
Nope. I mean, buying and selling from people on Facebook, on Instagram, private selling, private buying, What are your thoughts about that? Because it's something that I've been blessed lately to be able to do, buy and sell. But I know you get a lot of people out there that are really hesitant to do something like that. So what are your thoughts about that, man? Just
As a seller, as a seller, if I'm selling something that's over $100, $200, $300 to someone I've never done business with before, I'm not only gonna try to get references, but I'm gonna try to get references, and I'll be honest. If I have good references and he can, some others can vouch for me within the same group, I'll tell the dude, hey, dude, since this is a high dollar book, we're gonna have to do friends and family up front, man. I mean, hopefully we can do another transaction, but I don't know you. I'm sending.
And that raises the other question. You can buy privately and you can sell privately, but you have people that are like, yo, man, I'm just not going to send you friends and family. We can do goods and services.
And then I'll be like, hey, I don't know you, man.
Do you eat that 3% or do you make them pay an additional 3%?
Let's be real. Let's be real, Edwin. The whole 3% eating that shit and all this stuff. Someone could claim they're gonna say I'll eat the 3%, but all they're really doing is adding the 3% to the price and claiming they're gonna eat that 3%. Come on, let's be real.
Well, some people might operate like that, but if anybody watched my affordable auctions, I try to give people the absolute lowest price possible because
but you're different. You're Edwin,
Yeah, no, I know you're right, but I'll also tell people like, hey, man, look, this is what I'm asking for. If you're gonna, make me, if you wanted goods and services, you need to add that 3%, and that's typically what I will make known to people from the beginning, because it's covering you. And I mean, it's like, so why should I have to pay the fees and stuff, But that's just me. Some people would eat it, and it's not a big deal. But,
dude,
if you already don't trust me,
let's not do business. I'll just tell them, if you don't trust me, I don't trust you. We're both good if we don't do business with each other. I still have my book, and you still got your money.
Everybody Seeking Near Men is right there with me. He's like, he don't mind asking for the 3%.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Taco Dance is only buy for people he knows, which he knows me. He's a Houston native. I've sold to him and a few times. As a matter of fact, we got some books that we sent out to CBCS together. Yep.
I forgot what I was gonna say now. Damn it! That's what happens when you're getting old.
What's up, Justin?
Justin is back. He's back from grabbing his beer and his alcohol. Now he's all red-faced. I'm just messing with you, Justin. Dude, I forgot what I was gonna say now.
But well, we're just talking about buying and selling on social media. It seems to be a new thing. I think it's new because people just don't want to deal with those fees.
Ultimately, man, when you're doing business and it's not face-to-face, there's a risk. Either you're as a buyer or a seller. You're not looking at somebody in the eye and grabbing their money or their credit card or sliding their credit card or whatever. I mean, PayPal, yeah, it is what it is. Oh, now I remember what I was gonna say about PayPal. It is what it is, man. But PayPal is freaking loves the freaking sellers, man. They always side with the sellers. That's what I was gonna say before. When I'm doing press jobs for people, I tell them straight up, hey, these are my rates. This is the total for XYZ for XYZ services. That's the total. And this is the PayPal fee. I tell them straight up, this is the fee for PayPal. I'll take a screenshot of the PayPal calculator. I'll do their total and whatever PayPal charges and tell them this is now this is your total, including a PayPal fee, and nobody ever has a problem with it. I think maybe because I show them a screenshot of it. But referring to the 3% that you and Seeking Near Mint mentioned, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I tell them, hey, You know, here's extra fee. You're paying.
Well, what's 3%? Let's say you sell $1,000 book. What's 3%? It's $30.
$30.
Yeah, it's not a lot. So you're right. It shouldn't be a whole lot to ask, and you do kind of cover both parties. So it shouldn't be a problem, in my opinion, for the buyer to pay the additional 3%.
Yeah, dude. I mean, nah, especially with big money like that.
Yeah, because if you're willing to spend $1,000 on a book, what's $30?
But man, there's always freaking assholes out there, man. Like I said, man, buy a risk, sell a risk, man. Ultimately, do like me. I every month I say I'm gonna freaking sell a book, and I end up not selling anything. I end up freaking adding to my collection. I freaking love my books, man. That's why it's gonna be hard for me when I ultimately open up LCS. You know, it's gonna. And Edwin and I have had this conversation before. You know, when you're gonna commit to selling books, you have to commit to selling books. You have to say, this book that I'm buying is to sell, and not even entertain putting it into your collection. We've had this conversation before.
Yeah, that's always the tough part for a collector, is knowing when to sell and when to keep. I'll give you some advice.
High on your own supply.
Don't get there. You go. Don't get high off combos, guys. Some advice somebody told me. He said, what did he say? He said it was along the lines. I'm just paraphrasing. It was along the lines of celebrating, like rarely celebrating, but constantly always hustling or trying to sell. Because I'm just paraphrasing there, but it was along the lines of that, because the more if you're constantly celebrating, you're gonna be broke, or you're gonna be a hoarder, or just have accumulated more books than you really wanted to, especially when you look at all the stuff that you need to sell and get rid of.
Hey, don't get me wrong, man. I lose my job and my kids have to eat. They have to go to the dentist, or they have to go to emergency room. I'll sell every fucking last book I have. Excuse my French.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean you're
and I got. I'm gonna be honest with you, not to brag, but I got easily close to $100,000 behind my back here. So I'll sell it. Or if I wanted to open up a business and I needed the money to invest, I'll probably sell half of these books to get 50 or 60,000 out of it.
Yeah, I agree. We got Rag in the house.
Lords of the Long Box.
Lords of the Long Box, stop by.
Is it Dark Jedi or is it TiVo? That's the question.
Oh yeah, good point. Darkside Jedi's hacking his account. But yeah, no, it's good, man, because when I was researching open up a comic shop, I did a lot of researching on Google, and that's one of the things that they talked about was you're not going to be able to keep everything. As much as we want to, there's just no way that you can keep everything.
You can't. You'll never lose.
You're going to have to sell stuff. Yeah. You got to keep the lights on.
Or you say to yourself, hey, that collection of 20 long boxes that I just purchased, I allow myself to do a short box of it, and the rest has to be in inventory. You got to commit to it. And or just say, I'm gonna buy those 20 long boxes and they're all going straight to inventory. Never consider them, part of your collection. You gotta keep that difference. You gotta know.
Well, let me just say something, and I know what's gonna happen in the chat. Everybody's gonna start asking for this book.
Which one are you gonna show?
I gotta be honest, man. I gotta be honest. That X-Men #1 I got, I'm glad to have it, but when I look at that cutout in the top left corner, it really just makes me want to sell it.
The original X-Men, like in the 60s?
I got an X-Men #1.
When the hell did you pick up the original X-Men 1, man? I didn't see this shit.
Would you like to keeping up with me, man?
Would you like to sell it?
You haven't been keeping up with me. I've been out there hustling. So, but it just hurts me to see that cutout, and I want to sell it to get a better, higher grade.
Well, with that, book, you could probably get a higher grade, but still, someone did a video the other day. He's usually on Legends show. This guy, I forget his name. He purchased an Amazing Fantasy 15 and it was like a 4.0, you know, it's like the book at any grade is a nice little collection. And then again, ultimately, you know, eventually you'll try to get a higher grade, but man, that's a keeper, bro. X-Men #1.
Yeah, and the only reason is because those books are hard to get, especially in the wild. I mean, you can find them all down eBay, Instagram, Facebook, stuff like that. But to get them in the wild, they're pretty rare. Justin said he sold his whole collection once before, and he could do it again. He sold it
to me, and he took advantage of me. He's such a scammer. Don't deal with him. But they never got this one from me.
Did somebody say Grail?
Justin's like one of the most honest people I've ever met. But I've only met only a few people in my life.
Yeah, he's all right.
He's all right. For a Southerner, for a Georgian.
But yeah, I just want to talk about that, man, because I see a lot of people buying and selling on Instagram and stuff like that. And, you know, sometimes it can be hard to tell if you're new to it, new to buying from somebody that you don't even really know. I think it's good to have a strong social media or just internet presence. I think that's one of the things that's really helped me because ultimately when I go back and I think about it, I think it's more beneficial for me to exercise honesty and integrity, good customer service, and selling to somebody versus just trying to screw over somebody, because you're only going to go so far if you just start screwing over people right away.
What is TiVo talking about? Selling shirts and insulting people on video all day. Oh, about making his own con or something? Having his own con? I read something the other day, actually today, I'm sorry, about how someone asked, are all comic book creators have a chip on their shoulder? You know, I don't know, man. I don't know. I've like with Neil Adams, man. Neil Adams was nice to me, and people say, "Well, did you pay for something?" Yeah, I paid for something. I paid for his signature, and I enjoyed the conversation. He's one of my one of my comic book idols, man. That's Nick Cardy's another idol of mine, but he's he passed away. But anyways, as far as people having a chip on their shoulder, and in any industry, when somebody's at a point where they're the shit and people are constantly kissing their asses and they're having a bad day, man. Jack Kirby was just a freaking nice person in general, but I don't know, where the hell did I go with this?
Well, I haven't really heard too much about that in the I think, in my opinion, comic book creators are treated a little bit better than they were in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. That's just my opinion.
Absolutely.
But absolutely. As far as the chip on the shoulder, I really don't know. Jeff Johnson asked a question, which I think is a very good question. He says, how do you guys feel about raffles on social media?
Well, they're illegal.
Become well, yeah, they're illegal on Facebook, but people get away with it. But I think it's becomes very saturated. It's not a rare thing anymore. I think the biggest complaint, which I completely agree with, is that people are just raffling off junk.
Well,
people start raffling off like a bunch of dollar books and stuff like that, or low grade keys. I'm talking about like X-Men #1 and like that. I'm talking about like a Amazing Spider-Man 252 and a 7.5. I'm like, I wouldn't even buy that book.
Right. But like in any business, a savvy businessman is going to be able to deal, like you're referring to it being too saturated. And I agree with you, actually. The auctions on Facebook are so saturated. But any businessman is going to take that, is going to figure out a way to take advantage of it and change it up. Any savvy businessman is going to figure out a way of doing it. I don't do much auctions. I'm going to probably start doing auctions on my channel, but I'll probably add on to another auction in YouTube, including yours, including Legends. I mean, there's so many.
Well, he's talking about raffles. He's talking about raffle.
Oh, he's talking about raffles. Yeah.
Yeah, where you sell the spots and
See, but the
you
thing
raffle off.
and then people are taking too much advantage too with raffles. Like I saw one guy today say this guy's raffling this for which totals to 1,500, and the book was only worth like $800. You know, they claim.
Well, yeah, I've talked to TiVo about this. He says he was raffling 3 years ago, and he kind of got out of it because it is a lot of work. Whenever you raffle, you always add 15 to 20% of GPA because there is a work process involved in this. I'm not just like kicking back, putting up a raffle, and it's just filling itself. It doesn't work like that. It is a lot of work.
Comic Sniper says something really good. If it's junk, someone still wants it. That's why people still enter them. You know, somebody's garbage or whatever the saying is somebody's gold, whatever the saying is.
Another man's junk is another man's treasure.
Exactly. You know, so I might want this book. I might have, for whatever reason, I might want the book, you know, and there you go. You got somebody buying it or trying to get spots in a raffle, you know. There's comic books. It's the market for so many different genres of comics are as wide as how many collectors are there. There's so many. Yeah. If I pull out all my Richie Riches and Archies, I'm sure somebody's going to want to buy them.
If you got enough people watching you that's interested, I would agree with that. Tim says 15% above GPA is industry standard.
Yeah,
I would agree with that. I'm starting to see more and more 20% above GPA. I don't think it'll get higher than that, but I see a lot more people going to that 20% because they're trying to maximize their profits as much as possible. But one of the newest things, and this will be the last topic that we'll discuss tonight, one of the newest things are the online auctions. Jose, I think you were one of the first ones that I've seen do it, and I know Great Legend was doing it for a while, but when I saw you do it,
I did it like once.
Yeah, no, but still, when I saw you do it, it motivated me to want to do the same thing. And then, of course, I actually went on the Great Legends on one of his auctions like the week before, a couple of days before. I did my own just to kind of get a taste of it and see what it was all about. But what do you think about that, man? That's becoming a hot thing that's also starting to get kind of saturated, to be honest with you. It's
getting hot on YouTube, man. It's definitely we got all of the groups that we're involved in, you know. We got New York Warriors, we got Lords of the Long Box started. They did their first auction like a month or two ago, and they did pretty good too. You know, the fact of the matter is that the auctions are doing good. If they weren't doing good, you wouldn't do it. Legend wouldn't do it. You know, the Warriors wouldn't do it. I wouldn't start to do it. They're doing good, you know, and quite frankly, you know, sometimes people want to trim down their collections, and they start selling the stuff that they don't necessarily want anymore. So, and it gives us another collector the opportunity to own it. So they are getting saturated, but there's always going to be someone who wants to buy, you know, XYZ.
But that guy who has that sweet spot, and I think I mentioned this to Tim, when you have 80 to 100 people watching one of your auctions, that is a nice sweet spot. One of the things I've noticed. Yeah, it is. One of the things I've really noticed in something like that is people end up overpaying for stuff.
Well, that's because of the whole excitement, you know, the bidding war. The bidding war is what get books overpriced. But you know, if you're happy,
I was watching an auction on Facebook. There was the first microchip, the Punisher #4 first microchip. It was a raw copy. Now I understand microchip just came out in the Punisher Netflix series, but that's like a $10 book, 15 max, depending on grade. I was watching an auction on Facebook. A guy spent $50 on that book. Can you believe that?
Wow,
$50. Threw me off. Couldn't believe it.
But what's Seeking Your Mint talking about? He goes, sorry to say, but few people should be selling in YouTube. So can you elaborate on that? Not that I disagree or agree with you. I'm just curious as to your opinion about that. What about that? Blind boxes, when you purchase a blind box.
Oh man.
I don't like that idea.
Yeah, neither do
as
I.
a buyer, as a seller, I love it. Put a bunch of stuff in it.
Yeah, I don't. I've never bid on something that I don't
Jeff
know
Johnson
what it is.
brings up a good point too. I actually spoke about this with Edwin about us creating fake profiles. Now I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, guys. I'm kidding. But Jeff Johnson mentions the bidding wars, and some people have bidders who do nothing but upbid the books. I know that for a fact. I mean, I say for a fact, literally, or I'm not literally, but yeah, I there's gotta be people out there that have guys and say, hey, John, come into this bidding and up the bid. Of course. I mean, what's the worst is gonna happen? You know what? Wins the book at a higher price, but he doesn't spend his money, and the seller keeps the book. I agree.
I think you're right, man. I know that stuff happens. There's a Netflix series out. I forget what it's called, but it's about pop art.
I think I saw that one.
Artist dealers, yeah, like artist dealers and stuff like that, and they've talked about all kinds of scandalous things that actually happen in that type of industry. And I think that you're right, man. I think that people do that stuff. And me as a seller or auctioneer, I don't think about that stuff because like my mind doesn't go into like scandalous way of thinking to get things. So I don't even think about stuff like that. But
it happens. I know though. It happens.
Oh yeah,
it definitely happens. Seeking Imran says, he says, if I say who, then people can get. I guess he meant we'll get their butt hurt. But just saying, yeah, man, it's all good. You don't have to mention any names. You don't have to mention comics and stuff. I'm all right, man.
Wow. Yeah.
Hey, it's like anything that has to do with money. There's gonna be honest people out there, and there's gonna be scammers. There's auctions, raffles. I mean, all that stuff. Hey, it's money. There's always gonna be some Joe who's gonna figure out a way to how to scam people. So, like I said before, and I'll say it again: buyer, seller, beware. That's it. Buy at your own risk, sell at your own risk, man. What I don't like doing with people that I don't know, and I don't think I've ever even done it, is when they do trades.
Oh yeah,
you want to trade my 251 for what? For nah.
For $1,000 books.
I'm gonna pass on the trades.
Yeah, I haven't figured that one out yet either.
Not gonna happen. Thanks, Seeking Imran. He goes, it's not me. Thank you, because I'm a good guy.
All right. Well, that being said,
this was fun, dude. This has been
fun.
I'm not cutting it short. I'm just saying this has been fun.
No, we're gonna wrap this up though. I kind of have a thing about live chats. I get into the whole 2-hour mark, but
have we been 2 hours already?
We're about 20 minutes away from 2 hours.
In a way, man. Awesome.
About 20 minutes away.
Hey, hit them likes, y'all. Hit them likes.
There you go.
I'm gonna try.
Guys, go ahead and give this.
I'm gonna try it one more time.
A like.
What show is this from? Damn it! On display. Come on, man. I'm gonna give you a hint. It's Real Housewives. Damn it! Somebody's got to know it. I'm not the only dude that watches Real Housewives with his wife. Damn
I'm not.
You know you watch Real Housewives from Atlanta with your wife. Or from
I did at one point, but not anymore.
From Texas. Do they have one for Texas? No, right?
No, I can't stand reality shows. Scripted reality shows.
Yeah, that's basically what they are. And who wants to see freaking rich people? Rich people don't know what the hell to do with their freaking money, man. Fucking
I know, right?
Crazy. But anyways, man.
Everyone's
winding down. I could tell in his tone.
Well, final thoughts and shout outs, Jose. What you got?
Final thoughts and shout outs are this, man. Buy what you like and love what you who says that all the time? Collect what you like.
Collect what
you like and love what you collect.
And then also you got something going on.
Comic books are fucking an expensive hobby. And if you have to pay your car note, pay your car note before you buy a fucking book. Last minute, man. I just started up my my live show again. We're on Saturdays, every Saturday, midday, 12 o'clock Eastern time. I got a special guest tomorrow. You're gonna definitely want to come to that one. So definitely come by, check us out. I'm gonna try auctioning again. I'm gonna be the first one to admit I'm gonna do this auction thing. I'm gonna try doing that. So it's gonna be another auctioneer on YouTube. Edwin, you love hearing that, right? Another auctioneer.
Hey, whatever floats your boat, brother.
I'm just kidding. And I'm gonna be bringing interviewing comic book creators on my show. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. I'm also, as far as I'm gonna still be doing my polls, do reviews, do cheesy freaking videos, all that. I love doing this stuff, to be honest. I've been away from YouTube for, I don't know what, 3-4 months now, Edwin? Because
you've been dabbling the past few months.
Yeah, man. I've been training with an industry colorist, man. He's been coloring for 20 years for the top 2 publishers. His name's Chris Soto. I took 2 back-to-back courses with him online, and I learned so much from coloring. But anyways, the reason why I brought that up is because that's also something I'm going to do on my channel, and you guys might want to subscribe to it, is I'm going to be coloring stuff on my Cintiq and presenting it on my channel, whether it be live or as a recorded video. And I'm not going to really go into tutorial, but I'm going to be basically be looking over my shoulder as I color stuff. I started flatting Batman #1 by Greg Capullo the other night. Was it yesterday or the night before? So I just flatted it. Then I have to go and render it. But yeah, you'll see, kind of look over my shoulder as far as how I go about coloring pieces and stuff. But that's my passion right now. You know, I've always wanted to be a comic book creator. And my next step is inking, and my next step is penciling. I don't think I'll ever be on the writing side of comic creating, but you'll probably see my name up there one day as a penciler or inker, definitely as a colorist. So come join my channel, man. Live show every Saturday at 12 o'clock Eastern. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to get back into my YouTube, start doing my thing. So
there you go, guys. Check out comics and stuff. Huh? Yeah, no problem, man. Check out comics and stuff. I'll be over there tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern tomorrow morning. Well, afternoon, whatever. Kicking it with him. And who's the guest that you're gonna have on? Can you mention?
Well, there you go. That's my guest.
Besides me, you're gonna have somebody else, right?
You freaking spoiled the surprise. No, that was the guest. That I was gonna have the surprise guest was Edwin. Edwin's gonna be a surprise guest.
But you're gonna have somebody else on there, right?
I'm sorry.
You're gonna have somebody else on there too, right?
Well, the other co-host, I have a third co-host that's going to be commit to us next Saturday, and that I'll promote that more during the week. But yeah, my special guest tomorrow was Edwin, so that's the surprise, y'all. Come check Edwin and myself and my buddy Mike on my show tomorrow at 12 o'clock. Thanks.
Cool. Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for stopping in, checking us out. Freestyle Friday, episode 2. It was a long one, but it was a good one, and it was a fun one. I want to thank everybody in the chat for commenting. I'm not even about to name names because there's too many to name right now, but you know who you are. Thank you so much for stopping in, guys. I really appreciate it. As I always say, make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe. We always appreciate it. Keep God first in your life. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your comic books. God bless you guys. We'll catch you next week.
Comics and stuff. Out.